Okay, we'll get started here looking through Zacks Portfolio Monitor. Within the main system, we have the ZPM up here, this little icon, and what that's going to do is it's going to launch our Portfolio Monitor. Now in here, the main thing to look at is there's 4 different reports I'm going to go through. The characteristic snapshot report, the characteristic comparison, the performance measurement, and the performance attribution. All of these are located under this top icon right here. Before I start, I'm going to touch on kind of all of the different options and settings that can be selected within these reports. To start, we'll start up at the top left here. We have New Account. When we click on this, this is where you can add specific information. So if you want to load a portfolio, you can do so manually here simply by entering your ticker, putting in your shares, or whatever other analysis you look at based on weight. You give it an account name, a code, and then you can go ahead and save that down. And that's going to load a report for you. It's going to be loaded up into this little area here. We'll touch a little bit more on that in a second. The next thing we can do is we look at the import account. So up here in the top left is the import account. What this is going to do is going to find a text file. So if you have a text file, a CSV file, or some other kind of file that we can take, we can actually load that into the system. That's a little bit more to that, but that is something I'm more than happy to reach out to at a future time if you'd like to go through how you could import and how it needs to be structured to import. The next button up here is the portfolio library. Once you start putting in your information, this is a good way to see all of your different portfolios. So for here, I only have 2, but you could see, you could easily go through either of these portfolios, and once you start to get even more, there's a search button up here as well that you can look up by account. So that's how you can do that. And then you hit set and run, and it's going to run my equity account. The next button here is the management. So there's a lot to this one, ticker correspondence. So if you have a different cash ticker, for example, ours in our system is margin, but if you use cash, we can correspond one to the other, so it's still going to flow into our system the correct way. Another thing to look at is the report appearance. So if you want to change some of these headers around up here, if there's something you want to do a little bit differently with what you're seeing, you can do that within this area. You can change the footers and logos. So if you want to put up your logo up here, so if you want to use this for client or internal purposes, and you want to see your logo up, in the top left corner, top right corner, we can add that type of information into the system. Another thing that was added is just the ability to change some chart options. So you can change chart colors. You can kind of change the font and what's going to display, just so you can see different sizes as well. A lot of flexibility is what we're trying to provide when looking at some of these reports. And again, these settings are primarily for this characteristic snapshot report, which is what we're currently looking at right now. This option right here is to go through the different list of reports. So we'll touch on all 4 of these reports right here on this session. Again, we're looking at the snapshot report right here. Edit Current Report is going to take whatever report you're looking at, and it's going to open the report builder. We'll click on that in a second once we get to that phase of it. Report Library is just a list of all the different reports that you've created. So you can customize any type of report you want, and you can align it to your workflow for what you want to do for reporting or what you want clients to see, what you want to see internally. However you want to analyze information, you can do that by generating reports, and those are all stored here. And they're also stored right here. So you have all of these different ones. So Zacks are a pre-canned list of reports that we have already pre-generated. Shared reports are ones that you've created on a shared network. So if your company has a sharing file, you can actually save stuff to that so everybody at the firm can use the same list of reports. And then user are ones that you've saved specifically to what you want to use. These are only available to you on your system. The next thing I want to get, kind of touch base on is pitch books. So pitch books are a great tool to maximize workflow and kind of organize your different reports. So a pitch book, and I'll kind of touch down here as well when we do that, but if I create a new pitch book here, it's going to put up the pitch book builder. So what this is it's all the different reports that we've created, and I'll show you how to create a report in a second here, but these are all the different reports that I've created. So what I can do is I can say, I'll give this a pitch book. So we'll say Mark's pitch book, and I want to see top 10 equity, sector exposure. So I'm just going to add 2 different reports there. I'm going to save it as Mark's pitch book. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to save this to the shared network. I want everybody who's connected to the shared network to also have access to my pitch book. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to save the pitch book. So what I've done is I've just stated that my workflow, I really need to see these 2 reports. I want these to be generated easily. So now what I can do is go to the pitch book dropdown right here, go to Mark's pitch book, and you'll see we have this pitch book and we have 2 different lists of pages in there. And you can quickly sift through your different pages by clicking the up and down arrow. And it's a great way to just kind of organize what you want. And you can have multiple pitch books. You can have some that are internal pitch book, client pitch book, client-specific pitch books that if certain clients want to see these type of reports and others don't, you can say whatever type of pitch book you want. You can organize it any which way you want. So if I wanted to add another pitch book, for example, I'll go to my holdings information report here. If I want to add this report to my pitch book, I can just come up here and click the plus button, and now I've added another page to my pitch book. Now to kind of get into these settings down here, the manager, client name, and account, that is where you have organized all your portfolio information. It's the housekeeping. It's where everything is structured, organized. So if you have multiple managers, we could import them to different manager names, and then you have the client-specific name. And then the account code is just numbers or letters, in this case, ZRS equity. And that's something we can utilize in the future as well by creating a composite out of the ZPM account to be viewed within the main system as an aggregate, as one full consolidated account. Next, we can select, well, first we can go to View Portfolio. If you're interested to see what your current portfolio looks like, you can click on that little plus button right here, this little magnifying glass, and you can customize, you can edit. If there's a change to the portfolio, you can come in here and make adjustments to that, and you can click Save. We have multiple different benchmarks to choose between. So we have a lot of the main ones, the S&Ps and the Russell index funds. But we also have the ability to do an account as a benchmark. The great part about this is if you were interested in a client portfolio versus a core portfolio, and you were interested in the allocation between the two, see where you're over or underweighted for what you're trying to align it to, or see kind of how your total metrics stack up, this is a good way to kind of look at that. You don't just simply have to use the benchmarks, you can also use one of your own accounts. We have the ability to do time periods. So current is yesterday close information, but if you don't want that, if you want to know how you were at quarter close or month end, you can go back in time with these drop down here, and you can just simply click on whichever one you want, and it will go back in time to that point. We've already touched on the pitch booking here, but again, great tool for reviewing information. So the next thing we are going to just touch on is how to actually create a report, what to do. And actually, before I jump into that, I'm going to go to one more thing while we have this up. So in this, another thing to kind of get familiar with is a right-click functionality. So if I come down to the chart here, I can actually right-click the information, and if I wanted to, you can sort information, you can suppress the charts if you don't want to see the charts. You can even have it kind of tie into the other information. So if I was interested in NVIDIA, I could go to Zacks Independent Research, and it's going to pull up the NVIDIA information. Great tool if you just want to see a quick run between one and the other. So I'd get familiar with some of this right-click functionality. Just see what you can do with it. Now, getting into the report builder, I can go up to Edit Current Report, or I can go to New Report Characteristic Snapshot. I'll start in the Edit Current Report here, and you can see this is what we were just looking at. We have a couple ways to break this out, but down here is a little kind of table with all of the different items that we've already incorporated in this report. This is what is currently being loaded into it. It's what we're looking through. So just to go through some of the different options in here, I'm going to start fresh. I'm not going to I'm going to start with a new one so we can have our own list of items here. So I'm going to go to Characteristic Snapshot, and that's going to generate a new report. So we just start with a blank slate, company ticker, percent of portfolio. Now, left-hand side here are the different items that you can use within these reports. I like to use the search functionality. I think it's a quick way to do everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some different items in here. And I'm doing that by double-clicking. So I like total return year-to-date. I'm just going to double-click. You'll see it gets added into the report down here. Let's do price close. So we'll look at the last price close. And let's also look at market cap. So I'm just going through and I'm adding all this information to the report. So you can see everything kind of getting generated down here. Maybe we'll just add a few more for the sake of kind of getting some information there. We'll throw in Zacks rank, and we'll just throw in some price changes. So double-clicking, I've just added everything down here. Once things are added, you can actually manipulate them down here. So if I want to move something around, for example, I want Zacks rank all the way at the end, I can just drag and drop. I can also right-click, and I can delete, and I can also format. So the format column is a way that we can change the name if the name wants to be different, or you can kind of adjust the format. So if you want to go more decimals, you want to change it to some other thing, that's a great way to do it. And another thing that we've recently added is if you right-click and you go to Format Column, for example, PE, we can now make it relative to the primary benchmark. So in this case, we're going to look at PETTM, and if I click the relative, it's going to turn that item relative to the S&P 500. So here, so that's kind of like incorporating items. Again, there's over 600 items that you can really drill into, kind of customize your workflow, really build the reports based on what you're looking for. Up here is the different chart options. So this is where you can add different information. So for example, I'm going to look at, maybe we'll look at sector comparison and a sector over under. So I'm just double clicking, and I added the sector comparison by here, by double clicking it. And then when I double click the sector over under, I'll do that again here. I'm going to add it to the right side because I already have one on the left, and you can see it gets generated right there. The color options are just a matter of the different colors you want your scales to be. I'm just going to do contrast and kind of keep it the same way. Down here is the table option. So this is kind of how you're going to organize your information. So right now I have this set to all holdings. So it's just going to come in as basically a tabular form. It's going to just show me everything in a list. All equities is just going to show you the equities in your portfolio. Global sectors is going to show you the equities again in your portfolio, but it's actually going to break it into the individual sectors. So I'll just kind of click on that for now, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to run the report up here in the top left, and you can see this report is now broken into individual sectors. Okay. So I can also not only do that, we can do economic sectors, Russell sectors, asset classes, a lot of different ways we can do this. I can also do it by top. So I'm going to do top 10 equities for this case. So I just want to see the top 10 equities of this portfolio and kind of how they contribute to the overall portfolio. The next section we have here is group formatting. So in here you can kind of do some different options for what you're viewing in the table. Expanded companies would show you the breakouts. It's going to show you if you want to actually see the individual stocks or the sector level roll-up. You can choose that. Benchmark sector averages. If you want to see the sector averages, that will be here. Another cool piece is the ETF MF disaggregation. I'll show kind of how that works in a second here. But what that's going to do is if you hold ETFs or mutual funds that have underlying holdings that we collect in our system, we're actually going to take those pieces of the holding and we're going to proportion them into the correct sector. It's going to give you a little bit more granular view of your portfolio with broken out ETFs and mutual funds. And I'll show that in a sec. The next thing we can do here is additional benchmarks. So I'll just add a couple here. I'll do the value and the growth so we can see the full context of the S&P 500. And what this will allow you to do is at the very bottom of your report, you're going to see totals for your portfolio, the benchmark, but now we're also going to see totals for the growth and value as well as the S&P 500. Table statistics, if you want to add a little bit more besides what we provide, which is just the average, you can add that here. So I'll add the median as well so we can display that in the portfolio information. Lastly, you can do a table sort. So let's say I'm interested to see market cap in descending order. So I want to see them broken into descending order in terms of what their market cap is. And actually for this case, we'll probably have to do portfolio because it's top 10 holdings. But that's kind of what you can do here. If you want to sort it by EPS report date, or if you want to sort it by Zacks rank or anything like that to get a different breakout, so you're not just seeing kind of a a different view of it based on probably what it's going to be as alphabetical, you can break it out into anything you want to see here. So once I run this report, you're going to see we have the medians, which I added as a little extra. And then we also have the 2 different indexes that we've incorporated into the system. Now again, this is a top 10 equities, so we're seeing the equities up here with the different items that we've added into the report. So if I want to save this report, I'm just going to save it as top 10 new. I give it a different report name, and then I'm going to click on the little save report definition as. I want to save this as a shared because I want other people to be able to see this report, and I also want to add it to my shared pitch book. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to say report successfully saved. And now what I can do is I can click on the plus sign here, and now I've just added this new top 10 equity. So I have my old top 10 equity report, and then I have my new one, which has a little bit different information, different graphs, a little bit more detail down at the bottom here. So that's how you can customize these reports based on what you're looking for. And again, I just want to touch quickly on the ETF and mutual fund disaggregation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this ZRS multi-company report. And this has some mutual funds and ETFs in it aside from just equity. And I'm actually going to run this holding information because this one actually is broken out into global sectors, but it's going to show the disaggregation. Because in this case, I'm going to go to Edit Current Report. You can see ETF mutual fund disaggregation is selected. So I'm going to run this. And what that does is it's just going to take the ETFs and mutual funds, and it's going to break them into and reconstruct the information based on the underlying sector information. So that is the snapshot reporting. It's a great tool, great for client reporting, great for internal purposes. Recommend playing around with it, and if you have any questions, we are here to help. The next piece I'm going to show is characteristic comparison. There's not a whole lot to this report in terms of kind of customization. It's just a side-by-side comparison of portfolio and benchmark. It allows you to just see the a quick comparison. These are some of the items that are heavily used. I'm just going to switch this back to my equity account here. These are going to allow you to see some of the ones that are heavily used within the system, some of the ones we've kind of found to be most beneficial, and it's just going to give you the side-by-side. And again, I just am setting my portfolio. I'm hitting run. So this is looking at my portfolio versus the S&P 500 on the current basis. The next report I'm going to talk about is the performance measurement report. Now, I don't have any portfolios added into this, but what this is going to do, it's going to take month-end performance, and it's going to do it in the form of a batch file. So once we have month-end performance for a portfolio, we could add that portfolio into kind of what we're looking at. In my case, I'm just going to add 2 different indexes that can be clicked in here, and you can add a different subset of whatever index you kind of want to analyze it against. And then it's going to ask you to do a primary benchmark, in this case, the S&P 500. Now, then it's going to have you set the time frame that you want to run this at. So I'm just going to do about a little bit of under 3 years here, and I'm going to hit run. So this is going to create a multi-tab kind of report. It prints really nice. Graphically, visually, it's a very nice report. But it's going to show you a lot of different information. It's going to show you the 2 different indexes we have in there. Again, if you have portfolios loaded, you'll see those. And then it's going to show you the S&P 500, which is the benchmark. So it's going to show you returns, standard deviation, kind of the excess. The next tab is going to be cumulative return. It's going to do it on the year to the year basis. And then it's going to do annualized returns, so year-over-year returns, calendar year, so end-of-year information, risk returns. So this is going to show you, again, primary benchmarks, the S&P 500. It's going to show you the returns, standard deviation, beta, alpha, Sharpe, a lot of different risk and performance metrics down there. We have the upside-downside capture available, multi-statistics. So again, this is going to kind of show a straight line and how one did over the other. So kind of going to show you where one performed, where underperformed, and kind of show the breakout there. So it's, again, these 3 primary ones that we're looking at it. And then correlation, just how correlated is one to the other. So it's just kind of going to define that. So this report, a little bit more to kind of getting this started. So if you have any interest in this, please feel free to reach out, and we'll set up a time where we can discuss kind of working through this. The last report I want to get into is the performance attribution report. So what this report is going to do is it's going to break several different things. So in circumstances like this, it's going to show allocation selection effect for the predefined, so what we're diversifying it by. So we can diversify it by different things. So here I have items selected, and we can diversify it by an item. So if I want to look at how my portfolio is based on different market cap levels, I can set market cap 6 fractiles, And then I can just go through and define what I want in terms of my market cap breakout. So these are all in billions here. So if I do this, I'm going to look at this portfolio broken into a market cap level. So again, kind of using some of the settings up here, we have ZRS equity versus the S&P 500. So the benchmark versus the S&P 500. This one is going to be broken into market cap, and then we can set the time frame. So here we have the year to date is the time frame setting over here. You can adjust that down here, and then you can kind of set what you want to view in this information. For this case, I'm not going to run it based on market cap. I'm going to click on classification, and here you can do economic sectors, Russell sectors, or global sectors. So I'm just going to stick with the standard global sectors here, and then you would click the run report. I already have this generated right here. So again, you'll see kind of the different predefined information that you had set before. We have our portfolio, our benchmark, we have what we're diversifying it by, and then the time frame we're diversifying it by, or we're analyzing it against. So this is going to generate a multi-tab Excel report. So in here we have the Executive Summary tab. So this tab is going to show you the portfolio return, benchmark return, and whether you beat or didn't beat, the difference between the two. And again, on the year-to-date time frame. It's going to show you your allocation effect and selection effect right here. So how well you pick stocks and how well you weighted your portfolios. It's going to show you your major allocation decisions. So for this case, this portfolio holds a massive amount of infotech. Infotech has been doing well in this year-to-date time frame, so that's why I have such a high allocation, positive allocation effect for this portfolio. It's going to show your major selection effects, and it's going to show you avoidance decisions. So down here at the bottom, right, is the sector level effects. So you're going to see sector by sector allocation, selection effect, and total effect to your portfolio. So this is kind of the contribution to why you either over or underperformed the benchmark. So in this case, industrials, consumer discretionary, healthcare, all of these really hurt, and that's why I underperformed by negative 2.5%, a little more than 2.5%. So the next tab we're going to analyze is the Attribution Summary. So this is going to show you, again, sector level information, so allocation effect, selection effect, total effect down here on the right side. It's going to show you the totals as well, but it's also going to touch on portfolio and benchmark weights, returns, and contribution, and then it's going to show you the variation between the two. So that's another kind of deeper analysis on this. Down here we have the attribution effect. So if you just wanted to see if you're a little more visual or you wanted to use some of the graphics, here is the attribution effect down here. The next tab is the Attribution Analysis tab. So this is going to kind of take the same information from the last report, but it's also now going to break it into a stock level. So you're going to see all the individual stocks. So you're going to see the weights, returns, contributions, but you're also going to see the stock level selection effect. So in this case, Alta, heavily weighted in this portfolio, large negative return, really hurt my overall. Did not do well for this portfolio, had a huge negative contribution or negative selection effect. Big reason why this consumer discretionary underperformed. The next tab is the top bottom performers in terms of return. So we're going to see the return metrics right here and what has done well and what hasn't. So again, a lot of infotech up there. Top bottom contributors in terms of contribution to the portfolio. So the weight and the return, all kind of how it comes into play. So you see all that information here. Again, some visual graphics here for people who like to use a little bit more of the graphic information. And then we get into the largest and smallest holdings in terms of weight to the weights. We have the relative sector allocation. So this is going to show you your portfolio weights, your benchmark weights, and then it's going to touch on the over-unders as well and kind of, again, give you some more of the visuals. The next tab is a lot more statistical. It's going to give you different return metrics. So up here we have the different return analysis for portfolio and benchmark. We have different risk metrics for portfolio and benchmark as well, such as alpha, beta, standard deviation, Sharpe, Sortino. A lot of different data is available within this tab here. And then we also have consistency metrics that have been found beneficial by other users in the past. upside downside captures included in here, active information. So that's a great tool if you just want to see some of the statistics behind your portfolio or the statistics behind the benchmark. The next tab is the relative return and effects analysis. So this is the day by day. So in this case, again, year to date, almost, we're getting up on 3/4 of data here. It's going to show you the day by day returns for the benchmark portfolio and kind of how all of that looks. And so this is a good tool if you're interested in how you did on an up or down market. If you were interested how you did over a specific period of time, you can kind of get some of that analysis based on here. Other than that, it's just kind of a good tool to see the returns, so you can break it out on the day-by-day level. The last tab, and the one I kind of like to review the most, is the total stock effect. So this is going to show how something contributed to the portfolio return, whether it was held in the portfolio or the benchmark. And how you do that is you kind of play with some of these filtering options that we have provided here. So if I click on this little drop down right here and I hit select all, and I'm just going to look at 0%. So right now I'm just looking at the benchmark analysis for here. I'm not looking at anything within my portfolio. I'm going to come here and click smallest to largest. So these are the companies that I didn't hold in my portfolio that hurt. It negatively, it's why I had I lost the benchmark by negative 2.75%. So Apple, Facebook, Boeing, Amazon, I didn't hold any of these companies in the portfolio over this year-to-date time frame. Negatively impacted my portfolio. It's kind of a hindsight thing here, but it's a good tool if you're interested to know, decisions that could have been made, ones that you were thinking about. This may kind of spark a trade in the future if you were thinking about how well a specific company was doing, and you find in here that in this time frame it would have helped your portfolio this much. That might kind of help in seeing what you want to do. But also you can see kind of good avoidance decisions. So if I do large to small, it's GE, AT&T, Verizon, Wells Fargo. All of these did poorly for the benchmark. They all had either negative returns or low returns comparatively to what we could hold, and they negatively impacted the benchmark, and they positively impacted our portfolio because we didn't hold on to them. Vice versa, I can come up to this filter again, and I can get rid of everything but zero, or I can keep everything but 0%. So now I'm just looking at portfolio level information. So what I can do again is sort smallest to largest, and we can see what hurt our portfolio the most in this time frame. Ulta held high amount in here, negative 14% return. Very small weight within the benchmark. This was the biggest negative hit on my portfolio. This hurt me the most. This really contributed negatively. Not the only one, but definitely the most significant of all of them. I can also switch it the other way and see which companies have performed the best. So Baidu, Alphabet, IAC, NVIDIA, all of these, all Infotech, performed the best. These, in this time frame, gave me the best positive impact to my portfolio. So this is just a great tool to kind of analyze, historically what stocks you've been maybe thinking about, or ones that you were thinking about getting rid of, and just kind of see how they're working against the benchmark. So that would be the attribution report. And after going through that, we've touched on kind of all of the main reports that I like to go through. Thank you all for taking the time with me to review ZPM. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the main line down here, and I'll just kind of touch on that here. If you're interested, we have a support line down here, and we have the email down at the bottom of the main system. If you're interested in information or want to do a follow-up on anything, feel free to reach out down here, and we will work on all of that. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.